The descent into the underworld is prevalent in almost every hero's journey, whether it be the journey of Orpheus in pursuit of his wife, or the descent of the Monkey King for immortality. In heroic stories, the descent into the underworld has become synonymous with the descent into one's soul, a necessary need to battle one's worst self in order to achieve salvation. Today, we'll be talking about two stories that follow this pattern, one created in response to corrupt theocracy, and the other one? Well, the other one's just a really good game. But before that, some history. There once lived a guy you might know named Dante Alighieri, who lived in Florence, Italy around the 1300s. And well, it was not a good time to live. With disagreements on how much influence the church should have in state affairs, Florence was separated into two political factions, the Black Guelphs who supported more influence for the Pope, and the White Guelphs who wanted there to be less. Now, Dante was a devoted Catholic, but was also very critical of the corruption in the Roman Church, especially with the practice of simony, the selling of religious services and goods. So Dante joined the White Guelphs as a vocal advocate for the separation of the church and government. Now, although the White Guelphs initially had power, Florence soon fell into the hands of the Black Guelphs due to a military action, and Dante found himself exiled. And so angered, Dante picked up a pen and wrote one of history's greatest epics, the Inferno. The story of Dante's Inferno follows Dante and the ghost Virgil as they traverse the 9 layers of hell to be able to ascend to heaven, with each layer representing a different sin. In Christian thought, hell is depicted as a fiery land for the damned. Scary, but kinda boring. In contrast, each part of Dante's hell feels unique, each circle constructed to be metaphorical, taking influence from Christianity and Roman paganism. Take the second layer of hell for the lustful. I came to a place where no light shone at all, bellowing like the sea racked by a tempest, when warring winds attack it from both sides. The infernal storm, eternal in its rage, sweeps and drives the spirits with its blasts that whirls them, lashing them with punishment. Light is often a metaphor for reason or intellect, and the infernal storm is a metaphor for passion or lust. So with there being no light in the circle with only the movements of the fires, it symbolizes the pursuit of lust without reason. This layer also shows the beginning of Dante's descent. In the circle, Dante and Virgil meet Francesca, an unfaithful wife who tells Dante her story, causing him to faint. According to Joseph Campbell, the descent into the underworld, also known as the belly of the whale, is usually a time of great internal struggle, where the hero is forced to conflict with his greatest flaws to grow and find salvation. In other words, in order to grow, you need to experience near death. In the case of Dante, he struggles with his pity towards sin, always empathizing with some sinners to the extreme where it physically cripples him. But the journey must go on as Dante and Virgil continue into hell's third layer, the circle of gluttony. I am in the third circle, in the round of rain, eternal, cursed, cold and falling heavy, unchanging beat, unchanging quality. Thick hail and dirty water mixed with snow come down in torrents through the murky air, and the earth is stinking from the soaking rain. If the second layer didn't show it, here Dante's internal struggle continues, with him again feeling pity for one of the sinners named Caccio. Caccio, meaning pig in Italian, illustrates the sinner's character, having lived a life of overindulgence, yet Dante still feels pity, continuing his struggle with sin throughout the epic. However, in one of the last layers of hell, the 8th circle of fraud, Dante does something unexpected. When faced with the story of Pope Nicholas, a Florentine Simonist, Dante replies with a cold retort. This unexpected response shows the beginning of Dante's salvation, and speaks to the Inferno's intent of social commentary. Written with the Roman Church in mind, the Inferno is essentially an allegory, with Dante being a metaphor for humanity. Dante's struggle with his pity symbolizes the struggle humanity has when confronted with everyday sin. And with Dante eventually overcoming a struggle with the help of Virgil, it shows Dante's message, calling for people to go on their own religious journeys when confronted with many of life's temptations. Very pertinent message, especially at a time with very corrupt religious figures. Although it's not clear the influence that the Inferno had on Florence after its creation, its influence in modern day media is undeniable. Take Over the Garden Wall, a television show involving two brothers who travel across a forest on their way home, having many parallels to the Inferno. Or Ultra Kill, a first-person shooter in which you blast through the Inferno's layers of hell. Now, as much as I'd like to talk about Over the Garden Wall or Ultra Kill, in this video, we'll be talking about the game that's occupied me for the last few months, and that would be... It is the year 933, and Earth has become a dystopian wasteland. With the advancements in technology comes the depletion of natural resources, as well as the emergence of monsters, leaving the only livable place on Earth called the City, run by 26 large corporations that oversee a society divided between those who live in the secure nests and those who live in the slums of the backstreets. Life in Limbus is often described as a life with no purpose, a life filled with only those who can survive. You play as a character also named Dante, a clock-headed tactician of 12 sinners based on classical literature. You and your companions are tasked by Limbus Corporation to collect the Golden Bogues, remnants of the fallen Lobotomy Corporation, which is responsible for powering the city, along the way helping the sinners with their personal endeavors. Limbus Company shares many parallels with the Inferno's plot points. The first act shows this undeniably, with your character awakening in a forest, kidnapped by 3 agents whose codenames are Panther, Lion, and Wolf, obviously parodying the first council of the Inferno, where Dante is lost in a forest blocked by a leopard, a lion, and a she-wolf. Your first boss also references a quote from the Inferno: "Abandon all hope for ye who enter here," the very phrase inscribed on the gates of hell. In essence, Limbus Company takes scenes from the Inferno and reinvents them into a dystopian metropolis while weaving in original narratives. Limbus Company also follows Joseph Campbell's identified descent into the underworld. The story of Limbus Company is structured in a series of cantos that are essentially sequels of the 12 Sinners literature. These cantos include a series of levels where the problem is established, as well as the final dungeon stage, consisting of additional levels which typically all the character development happens. I believe this is intentional. Let's look at the most recent Canto 5, where Dante and the Sinners cross the Great Lakes, a body of water that houses one of the 5 great disasters, the Pallid Whale. You can probably already guess that this canto pertains to the sinner Ishmael. Going through the story, you learn that Ishmael essentially came from the crew of Moby Dick, and was pulled into Captain Ahab's conquest for the Pallid Whale, eventually killing the entire crew. Vengeful, Ishmael is obsessed with finding the captain, swearing that she still exists despite everyone being presumably dead. In a sense, Ahab has become Ishmael's whale, her internal conflict, and to overcome that, she must ascend into the belly of the whale. Inside the stomach of the whale, Ishmael reaches her lowest point. Finding out that the crew and the captain have survived sends Ishmael into a craze, but now being stuck in the whale, Dante and the Sinners must now work with the crew in killing the whale, manipulated back into Ahab's clutches. The dungeon is Ishmael's belly of the whale, her near-death experience before her spiritual rebirth, and through overcoming her demons and choosing not to kill the captain but the whale instead, Ishmael literally overcomes her belly of the whale, continuing her journey as a more grown character. Well, there you go. 2 very good stories that involve the descent into the underworld. One created a long time ago for political commentary, and the other one just last year for entertainment purposes. But both show a very good trend when it comes to character writing. I think we can all agree that unchanging heroes are boring. Heroes need to overcome their flaws so that they can grow and develop. And what better way to do that than a journey into hell?